Professor Akram here, and in this lesson we're going to discuss the dramatic elements of games. The dramatic elements of games are what engages the player emotionally and keeps the player invested in playing the game. These elements include challenge, which creates tension for the player; play, the ability for players to play or mess about within the game system, bending the rules so to speak; premise, the concept behind the game story. Some games only have a premise story. This takes the premise further in enriching the game experience. Characters provide players a way to empathize with the story. And style is the look and feel of the game. Challenge is a key consideration for engaging the player. Challenge is dynamic and must have good flow. Without good challenge flow, the player will either get bored or frustrated. A player might find one task challenging at the beginning of the game, but after becoming accomplished in the task, they'll no longer find it challenging. Play can be thought as the freedom of players to act within the rigid constraints of the game, to allow the opportunity for emergent experiences and personal expression. What are the rigid constraints of the game? Rules and procedures. According to game designer and author Tracy Fullerton, the following categories help to address the pleasures of play from the point of view of the player and include competitors, players who play to beat other players regardless of the game; explorers, players who are curious about the world and love to go adventure seeking; collectors, these are players who acquire items, trophies, and knowledge throughout the game. Achievers play for varying levels of achievement. Jokers don't take the game seriously and tend to play within the game system. Artists are driven by the creativity and creation of the design of the game. Directors are those who want to manipulate or control the game world. Storytellers love to create and live in worlds of fantasy. The performer wants to put on a show for others. The craftsman wants to build, craft, engineer, or puzzle things out. In 1996, game designer Richard Bartle developed the test to observe and define the players in MMORPGs and earlier MUD, multi-user dungeon games. The Bartle test narrowed the players to 4 distinct player types: killers, socializers, achievers, and explorers. In a 2012 talk at the Game Developers Conference, Jason Vanderberg, a creative director at Ubisoft, introduced a new player type model, using motivations for players extrapolated from personality studies of psychologists. The Ocean model defined 5 human characteristics. Characters are imaginary people that provide a way to empathize with the premise or story. Player characters are typically the game protagonists. Player characters can be player-controlled or have free will. Free will relates to AI-controlled characters, which exhibit a sense of autonomy. A good mix of player control and free will is demonstrated in Sonic the Hedgehog, where Sonic would tap his feet and cross his arm impatiently if the player stopped interacting. Style relates to the look and feel of a game. The style of the game varies by the theme, genre, and story. For example, a fast-paced sports game will have a very different look and feel than a space adventure RPG game. The key for game designers is that all important elements of the game blend together and create a sense of unity and harmony.